The top 10 robberies in the Netherlands. Let's count down the 10 biggest robberies ever in the Netherlands. At number 10, we have the Rambraid robbery of the Geldnet branch in the Western Harbor area of Amsterdam. On the evening of the 22nd of April, two suspects rammed the front doors of the Geldnet building and made off with 4.5 million euros in a stolen vehicle. Police were quickly in pursuit of the thieves, who fired at them with a machine gun, injuring two officers. The robbers managed to evade capture, and their vehicle was recovered along with most of the money. Police intelligence led to both suspects being arrested 6 months later. One of the pair was jailed for 10 years for what the judge described as a very brutal, violent, and well-planned robbery. At number 9, we have the VSB Bank robbery in Amsterdam. These enterprising thieves entered the bank during normal business hours and hid until the bank closed for the evening. Once the coast is clear, the robbers have the luxury of time all night to break open as many safety deposit boxes as they can. And they did well, managing to open 3,901. After sifting through the contents and selecting the most prized items, they once again hide within the bank, wait for it to open for business the next morning, and then they make their escape. Perfect, or so it would seem. Unfortunately for the thieves, one of them had left a water bottle behind, and the water bottle had fingerprints on it. Investigators used this crucial piece of evidence to identify, arrest, and prosecute the perpetrators, all of whom were jailed for the crime. At number 8, we have the almost comical robbery of Gassan Diamonds in Amsterdam. In 2001, Dennis Fromer, an employee of Gassan Diamonds, managed to walk out the door with 8,137 diamonds, worth 7 million euros in a microwave box. Fromer, who'd only been employed by the company for about 4 months, had arrived at work that morning with a box, explaining to security that it was a microwave for work. He'd been planning the robbery for some time, having taken small numbers of diamonds at least twice a week before the big score. Fromer had fallen in love with a local prostitute, Tiffany, and needed money from the robbery to start a new life with her. The pair managed to escape to Mexico, but to Fromer's surprise, Tiffany promptly left him for another man. The heartbroken Fromer returned to the Netherlands and handed himself in. The majority of the diamonds were recovered. At number 7, we have the 9 million euro robbery of ABN AMRO. This robbery sounds just like a Hollywood blockbuster. Two robbers managed to hide out in the bank on a Friday. After the bank is closed for the weekend, the thieves set to work, managing to break in to 583 safety deposit boxes without being detected. They then stayed inside all weekend until the bank opened for business on Monday morning. They'd planned the heist so thoroughly that they even took their bodily waste with them to avoid being identified. Their plan was almost successful. The only problem was, in order to plan the robbery, the thieves had rented a safety deposit box themselves, and it was one of the few boxes not broken open. The thieves were tracked down, caught, and sentenced to 4 years in prison. At number 6, we have the Westfries Museum robbery, which took place on January 10, 2005 in Hoorn. The stolen items included 24 paintings from the Dutch Golden Age, silverware, and other valuable objects. The estimated value of the stolen items was 10 million euros. Some of the notable artists whose work was stolen included Jan van Goyen, Jacob Wabin, and Matthias Willows. For several years, the location of the stolen artworks remained unknown, and the investigation into the robbery faced many challenges. However, in 2016, there was a surprising development in the case. The paintings resurfaced in Ukraine when they were presented to the Dutch embassy in Kiev by individuals claiming to have found them. No one has ever been identified, arrested, or charged with a robbery. Now we are at number 5. These are the big ones. Get ready to see some big numbers. Number 5 is the 2011 robbery of a Brinks money transport van. This robbery netted the thieves 12 million euros. The robbery took place in the early hours of the morning and involved explosives and automatic weapons. This is one of the best prepared robberies of all time in the Netherlands and saw the thieves lock gates at local police stations to slow down any response to the robbery. Additionally, the robbers put crow's feet, a type of spiky cluster of nails on the roads, around the robbery site to puncture the tires of police cars. When the police arrived, there was a shootout with the thieves, who managed to escape. During a high-speed chase on the A2, the robbers crashed one of their getaway cars. They then threatened the driver of a nearby vehicle and managed to continue their escape. No one has been convicted of this robbery due to lack of evidence. Number 4 is a great example of how investigators will always look at employees of banks after a robbery. It isn't always an inside job, but this time it was. In 2018, the Rabobank branch in Udenbusch was broken into and over 300 safety deposit boxes were opened and their contents stolen. Gold, cash, and jewelry worth an estimated 12.5 million euros were stolen. Although this is only an estimate, as many of the boxes' owners were reluctant to come forward. The bank's 2 security guards attended a false alarm at the bank on the night of March 2nd. This false alarm allowed the guards to let the thieves into the bank, whereupon they spent the night breaking into the safety deposit boxes. Early the next morning, the same 2 guards attended another alarm at the bank, this time to allow them to let the thieves out. Early in the investigation, the police suspected an inside job after noticing some bank alarm manipulation. The 2 guards were subsequently arrested, charged, and jailed for their part in the heist. They continue to deny their involvement, and the actual thieves have never been caught. This is it, the top 3. In the bronze position, we have the carefully thought out, cleverly conceived, and quickly executed theft of 7 famous paintings from the Kunsthal Museum in Rotterdam. Reportedly, the thieves were in and out in under 3 minutes, and in this time, they managed to remove paintings by Gauguin, Matisse, Monet, and others worth at least 18 million euros. The robbery took place at approximately 3 a.m., and by the time the police arrived, there was no sign of the thieves. Almost 1 year later, the suspected thieves were arrested in Romania. But sadly, there was no sign of the paintings. The mother of one of the thieves said she'd burned the paintings to protect her son, but she later denied this. Investigators are said to have found nails and pigments of the correct age in the woman's fireplace, so sadly, the paintings might be gone for good. In the second place, the silver medal position, we have the Schiphol Airport diamond heist. This was one of the world's biggest thefts, netting the thieves jewelry worth an estimated 75 million euros. That's why this one is in second place. This audacious robbery took place at Amsterdam Schiphol Airport in 2005, and for many years, it seemed that it would never be solved and no one would ever be brought to justice. The robbers, who were armed and disguised as KLM workers, gained access to a secure area and stole diamonds and jewelry from a flight bound for the Belgian port of Antwerp. They then escaped in a stolen KLM van, seemingly never to be seen again. Strangely, diamonds worth almost 30 million euros were found in an escaped vehicle early in the investigation, but the remaining jewels were never recovered. Investigators maintained an undercover operation to bring the thieves to justice, and in 2017, 12 years after the heist, 7 suspects were arrested. The suspects were caught when an officer involved in another operation heard the robbery being discussed during an intercepted telephone conversation. As we've seen in other robberies, there was help from the inside, as one of the suspects was a KLM employee who provided the uniforms and helped smuggle weapons into the restricted area. This is it, the number 1 spot, gold medal, top of the podium. The biggest robbery in Dutch history award goes to, drumroll please, the 1991 theft of 20 paintings from the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam. Although this robbery takes the top spot due to the estimated 450 million euro value of the paintings, but it also takes the number 1 place for quickest time to be solved. The robbery started about 3 a.m. on April 14, 1991, when one of the thieves emerged from the restroom in which he had been hiding since the museum closed. He approached the security guards, locking one in a storeroom and forcing the others to disable the alarm and unlock the door. The thief's partner entered the museum, and within 45 minutes, they had selected 20 paintings and removed them from their frames before making a getaway. They left in one of the guards' cars, and while on the way to rendezvous with another getaway car, they got flat tire. Having not planned for this, they had no option but to abandon the car, leaving on foot without the paintings. This was an easy win for the police, who found the car and all 20 paintings within 35 minutes of the robbery. Oh, and as a side note, the guard who'd been locked in a storeroom was suspected of being involved. There's always an inside man. Eventually, 4 men were arrested, and all jailed for their part in the failed heist.